WWE hit the Keystone State this past week for both Raw and SmackDown, and I was actually at SmackDown on Tuesday in Wilkes-Barre, and I actually have videos from the event, the dark match before the show, entrances throughout the entire show, 205 Live after, and then a video of the entire dark match between the Viper, Randy Orton, and the phenomenal AJ Styles. They are all right here on the channel, so be sure to go check those out. Like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring and myself, CoolHandLuke96, on social media. So without further ado, I'll get into my Raw and SmackDown recap now from this past week, March the 4th and 5th, 2019. As I said, Raw was in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center. The big dog Roman Reigns kicked off Raw once again. As he was walking down the ramp, they had a split-screen commercial recapping what he said last week on Raw, announcing that he is back and his leukemia is in remission. They also showed highlights of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins helping out their Shield brother Dean Ambrose as he was getting attacked by Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Elias. So Roman chants from the crowd at this point, "Come back last week, we take back our yard this week." Roman goes on by saying that there's only one man in his way of what he wants, and that is the architect, Seth Rollins. So then Rollins comes out. They advertise his match at WrestleMania 35 against Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. Rollins goes on by saying then once he gets in the ring, says that seeing Reigns fight for his life and win and then come back, it's one of the best moments of his career. Made him feel like I could do anything. He's going to take the inspiration, the motivation to WrestleMania, and he's going to slay the beast, Brock Lesnar, and bring back the Universal Championship where it belongs. And that's right here on Monday Night Raw every single week. And by the way, Rollins is wearing a new t-shirt as well. It said Beast Slayer. It looks pretty cool. So he goes on by saying then, with that being said, I might know where your head's at. Now at this point, I was thinking, I think a lot of people were, that they're going to potentially in the main event or maybe this Sunday at Fastlane have a match between the two of them for the number one contendership for Brock Lesnar's Universal Championship. But however, that was not the case. Rollins goes on by saying, I know what it feels like to vacate a title by never losing it, because that's what Reigns had to do last October when he went and battled leukemia once again. And if there's anyone out there that deserves an opportunity at Brock Lesnar as much as I do, it is you. So like I said, I was thinking maybe they're going to have Roman back up top and screw Rollins over. But that was not the case. Reigns goes on by saying then that Rollins is wrong, and when he was gone, there was one man that watched over WWE Monday Night Raw, and it was Seth frickin' Rollins. He kept it in line and knew what was best, but Reigns wants to get the Shield back together one last time. Roman Reigns, the big dog, wants to get the band back together. So anything except that, says Seth Rollins, because obviously go back to when Rollins and Ambrose were Raw Tag Team Champions. It was actually the same night Reigns announced that he had leukemia. Dean ended up turning on Seth, if you guys can remember, back late October of last year. So basically they've been, button heads ever since, and Rollins has been on the outs, Ambrose has been on the outs, and reportedly as well he's going to be leaving the company after WrestleMania. So by this point as well, Shield chants from the crowd. But then tomorrow's not guaranteed. We don't know how much time we actually have. Life is short. Then Rollins goes on by saying, you know what? I put that part of my life behind me. But Roman Reigns, you are right. You want the Shield one last time? Then for you, I'm in. To me, that was a shot towards AEW. Rollins is all in. So then Dean Ambrose comes out. He was just walking around the entranceway there for a little bit, and then Elias came out and attacked him from behind with his guitar, and then Shield, his other Shield brothers, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, who were in the ring during this opening segment, opening promo of Raw, they come to his defense, and then Elias had left by this point. So then they cut to commercial. Coming up tonight on WWE Monday Night Raw, update on Ronda Rousey and the Raw Women's Championship. And then also, do I have your attention between the Animal Batista and the Game Triple H? We will hear from the King of Kings later on. I believe that was the 9 o'clock hour of Monday Night Raw this past week. Yeah, that was the 9 o'clock hour. So then they cut to Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley, along with Leo Rush, the man of the hour himself, backstage getting interviewed by Charlie Caruso. But up next, after the commercial break, is a 6-man tag team match between Finn Balor, Kurt Angle, and Braun Strowman versus Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley. So commercial break, and then it was a good match. My assessment on this match was it was pretty good. 2 commercial breaks, so relatively long once the match got started, and then everyone, basically did their thing. Balor, coup de grace, Angle had a couple suplexes, the angle lock as well, Strowman running power slam, and then a shoulder tackle on Leo Rush through the barricade by the commentary table used to be there by the timekeepers area. That's where Strowman took out Leo Rush, and then Drew McIntyre had a Claymore kick in this match. Corbin end of days, and then Lashley ended up getting the spear for the win. So Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, and Bobby Lashley won after that spear from the almighty Bobby Lashley himself. And then they attacked both Kurt Angle and Finn Balor with the steel steps to stand tall. Kurt Angle really didn't look that good in this match, I thought, though. But other than that, the match was pretty damn good. Now, Raw is in Pittsburgh next week. Maybe I'll have some more videos for you this time next week as well, because I will be at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for WWE Monday Night Raw next week on my birthday, March the 11th. But I was thinking during this match, since in my opinion Angle really didn't look that good, I would not be surprised that they have Kurt Angle go out and say, I am officially retiring now. But then they could do the same thing they did a while ago. They had him do this and then set up a storyline with him and McIntyre for a little while, or maybe that was right after that. And then they kept Angle in the fold. I mean, hell, he's still wrestling, so maybe it'll set up a WrestleMania match for Kurt Angle if they do that once again this upcoming week on WWE TV. We'll have to find out and see. But then up next, Stephanie McMahon will have a update on Ronda Rousey and the Raw Women's Championship as well, because last week Ronda basically gave it up. Also a Raw Tag Team Championship match with Aleister Black and Ricochet versus the Revival. Now I'll talk about Aleister Black and Ricochet during SmackDown, because they were also on SmackDown this past week. So then Heavy Machinery interview backstage. They actually wrestled the dark match before SmackDown versus Sanity this past week on SmackDown. So then Heavy Machinery interview backstage. Then they cut to a video of the Ascension, the B Team, and then Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins talking smack on Heavy Machinery earlier on in the day. So it looks like, they're button heads. We actually had a Fatal 4-Way Gauntlet tag team match later on between those 4 teams. Heavy Machinery, the Ascension, B Team, and then the Edgeheads, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. So I'll get to that here in a little bit, so stay tuned. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to Gridiron Ring and myself, CoolHandLuke96, on social media. Links are in the description below. So up next, though, Natalya versus Ruby Riott. Commercial break. And then this Sunday at Fastlane, the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships will be on the line. The Usos, Jimmy and Jay versus co-besties, the best tag team in the world, Shane McMahon and The Miz. Fastlane this Sunday in Cleveland, Ohio. Lacey Evans then came out after Natalya won the match. So Natalya defeated Ruby Riott. It was an alright match, really wasn't that long. Lacey Evans came out. I still don't know what the hell they're doing with her. She's clearly trying to make her mark, though, on both Raw and SmackDown, and they're trying to figure out where she's going to fit in best at, but we'll have to find out and see, because she was also on SmackDown. She came out for R-Truth, the United States Open Challenge, and then Samoa Joe came out, Mysterio, and Andrade. Joe ended up winning. I'll get to that here in a little bit as well for SmackDown. I actually have video from being live in person of him winning the U.S. title, his first title up on the main roster in the WWE. A long time coming. It's about damn time. So go check out that video as well. So Lacey Evans came out after Natalya won. She got introduced as the Sassy Southern Belle, so it seems like that's going to be her nickname for the time being. Also introduced her like that on SmackDown as well. She did her thing, like I said. She just walked around before leaving, and like I said, it's really hard to tell what they had planned for her. I think they're going to put her on SmackDown, to be honest with you, and then potentially have her face Asuka at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Now, Monday night this past week as well, SmackDown had a live show, a house show, a live event, and Asuka actually got hurt, and she was actually supposed to have a match on SmackDown, but that got scrapped. And then she ended up attacking both Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville afterwards anyway, so it looks like she's going to be fine moving forward. But yeah, I think Lacey Evans, they'll put her on SmackDown in the long run here coming up, and she'll face Asuka at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. So then next, a video package recapping what took place last week in the main event on Monday Night Raw from Hotlanta, Georgia, with Batista attacking Ric Flair during his 70th birthday celebration. And then they pan to Stephanie backstage talking with two members from Saturday Night Live, SNL, Michael Che and Colin Jost, who were special guests. And then they were also announced as special guest correspondents for WrestleMania, as WrestleMania 35 is in the New York, New Jersey area, East Rutherford, New Jersey, at MetLife Stadium. And I believe it was Colin Jost. And by the way, they were in Philly. I believe it was Jost. He was wearing a New York Met hat, and Bryce Harper, by the way, just signed. So getting some heat, from the special guest, it was perfect. So then next, Triple H, he came out. They went to commercial. Triple H came out. He came out right after that. He is going to discuss what happened last week with Batista and Ric Flair. So then they go to commercial break. So sorry about that. SmackDown Live then preview with Daniel Bryan breaking his silence on his new opponent at Fastlane, Kevin Owens. And that actually kicked off SmackDown this week. Daniel Bryan came out with his bodyguard, Eric Rowan, former Bludgeon brother. I still don't know what they're doing with Luke Harper when he returns. We'll have to find out and see. And then Kevin Owens came out. I have videos, entrances, and whatnot on the channel. Go check them out. So they show Batista's video then from his Instagram. This is when they came back from a commercial. Batista had a video on Instagram this past week with him saying that he's sorry that he's not there in Philly tonight because, flat out, he doesn't like Philly. Now, maybe we'll see him next week in Pittsburgh. Hard to tell. Later on in the show, they announced Batista will be in the Steel City for a face-to-face with the Game Triple H. So that, more than likely, I bet, will be the main event next week. And I was thinking the other day as well, last week on Raw, we had the 70th birthday celebration of Ric Flair in the main event with Triple H and Batista. That actually was the 9 o'clock segment this past week now. Now, the main event this past week, the 4th, so at the end of February, March 4th now, we had the main event be Ronda Rousey with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. So I'm thinking now, next week, we'll have to find out and see if that's what they do. Because I think the main event is, on Sunday at Fastlane is going to be Charlotte and Becky, and I'll get to that here in a little bit as well. And go check out my Fastlane predictions. They're right here on the channel, so like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links in the description. But I think the 9 o'clock segment now next week, like I said, hard to tell, we'll have to find out and see, will be really going to depend on what happens at Fastlane, though, because Charlotte and Becky and Ronda could kick off Raw now next week. We'll have to find out and see. Like I said, I know I've said that a couple times. I'm going on and on about it, but oh well. Thanks for your continued support. Thanks for listening. But then the 9 o'clock hour could very well be the women's, and then the main event, I think, will be Batista and Ric Flair next week in Pittsburgh. So Batista, in his Instagram video, he was just saying, he might be in Pittsburgh next week, but either way, the game is over. Triple H then cuts a promo, maybe the best promo of the year so far, calendar year for 2019 wise. So from January 1 up until now, I thought, in my opinion, this promo Triple H cut on Monday Night Raw this past week was the best so far. And he talks about the history he has with Ric Flair, Richard Flair. He named him by his real name in and out of the ring. And then Batista attacking a 70-year-old Ric Flair last week on Raw on his birthday. And then also talked about Ric Flair's son, Reed, who passed away. And I was really, really shocked that they talked about that, but they did. But it's Triple H. He obviously has confirmation from Vince. He can say and do what he wants. But basically, because that was in the main event segment last week, just setting the pieces to their Mania match. This is the second week, basically building the first layer of that now towards their rumored match at WrestleMania 35, 14 years later in another rematch. So next week, face-to-face with Triple H and Batista. Raw Tag Team Championships on the line later on as well, with Aleister Black and Ricochet versus The Revival. Dean Ambrose versus Elias also advertised. They recap from last week on Raw with the Raw Women's Championship with Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. And then Stephanie, this is when she came out one of the rooms backstage. Earlier when I said that, she was back in one of the other rooms where they have everything set up for interviews and whatnot. So she came out of her dressing room. Charlie Caruso actually right there. And it seems like she's the only damn interviewer that they have. Once again, they do this every once in a while now, it seems like. So she caught her, and then Charlie Caruso interviewed Stephanie. Stephanie goes on by saying WWE will be dropping all charges versus Becky Lynch, but later on Becky will have to sign a hold harmless agreement because Becky is now facing Charlotte on Sunday at WWE Fastlane. So Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair at Fastlane for the vacant Raw Women's Championship. However, that changed. I'll get more into it later on because both Becky and Charlotte were both on Raw and SmackDown this past week, so I'm going to be talking about that a lot. Tag Team Gauntlet match is up next with Heavy Machinery, The Ascension, B-Team, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. Commercial break, and then Dean Ambrose backstage talking, just basically walking around, and then Roman Reigns comes to talk, but Ambrose basically said, I got to get ready for my match versus Elias. So the Tag Team Gauntlet match, Heavy Machinery was in the entire match. They ended up winning. Now, as far as I know, the winner of this match doesn't get anything in the future, but they very well could get a future title shot down the road, but that is still yet to be seen. And then, like I said, Heavy Machinery kicked off SmackDown, the dark match before SmackDown this past week. They had a dark match versus Sanity, Killian Dane and Alexander Wolf. Eric Young was actually also there. He was ringside, didn't get involved, and he actually shaved his beard. EY has no beard anymore. So Tori Wilson then, she will be going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year, the night before WrestleMania. And then they announce next week on Raw a face-to-face with the Game, Triple H and the Animal, Batista. So then the SNL guys, Colin Jost and Michael Che, they're walking backstage. They walk past EC3, who basically was a statue. He was standing next to some kegs. And then they run into Titus O'Neil. Titus got a picture with one of them. The other one took the picture. I don't remember who it was. And then No Way Jose, he brought his conga line back. So they still have him on the payroll. I don't know why, but they do. And then Tori Wilson video package for the Hall of Fame. So Tori Wilson will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame the night before WrestleMania 35 alongside, so far, DX and the Honky Tonk Man. So Charlie Caruso then interviews Charlotte. Charlotte also had a interview backstage on SmackDown, and then she had, like I said, they both had segments on WWE programming this past week. So Dean Ambrose then is backstage. Rollins comes to talk. So the Shield buddies of his, they are trying to get to him to try to reform the Shield because other than other than Rollins and Reigns, Ambrose is the only one that they need to get the Shield back together. And up to that point, he kept saying no. He was trying to get ready for his match. So that was next, Dean Ambrose versus Elias. Elias is out in the ring. He sings a song about the city of Philadelphia. He goes on by saying that they have no Stanley Cup recently. However, their fans are diehard. Their fans, however, at the same time, look like the Flyers' new mascot, Gritty. And then Eagles fans have been eating horseshit the past year, and then their children have no future. And then since Bryce Harper just signed with Philadelphia Phillies, his career is going to die. Elias is awesome. His promos week in and week out, I don't care what city you're in, they're awesome. He finds a way to make them better and better every single week. So they go to commercial break during this, come back from commercial break. They went to commercial break. The match was still going on. Come back from commercial break, the match is over. Very weird. You very rarely ever see that in the WWE. Come back from commercial, Dean lost to Elias. But then Seth and Roman, they're walking down the ramp towards the ring, and they're trying to get him to say yes so they can get the Shield back together. Ambrose leaves through the crowd, goes maybe, probably halfway up the steps. But then Baron Corbin's music hits. He comes out with Lashley and McIntyre, and then they start attacking Seth and Roman before Dean decides to come back to the ring and help his Shield buddies take out all three, Corbin, Lashley, and McIntyre. And then they do the Shield fist thing in the middle of the ring. So the Shield, long story short, is back together. And then they announce that the Shield, Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose will have a match on Sunday at Fastlane versus Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre in a 6-man tag team match. And I believe that will be kicking off the show. Get the fans involved, get them pumped up, get them involved, and then set the foundation for a good pay-per-view hopefully on Sunday. And by the way, I'll be live right here on YouTube on Sunday doing live reactions play-by-play, so hope to see everybody then. And then the main event, I believe, will be Charlotte and Becky at Fastlane on Sunday. So Tamina then, she has a match up next versus Sasha Banks. Tamina wins, and now they'll end up facing Bayley and Sasha Banks on Sunday for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. So Tamina stood tall. That signifies 95% of the time that if you stand tall on a go-home show, you're going to lose at the pay-per-view the following weekend. So I think Bayley and Sasha will win. Go check out my Fastlane predictions, people, right here on the channel. Like, follow, and subscribe on social media. Links are in the description below. Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet is up next. But then during the match, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable came out and interfered, costing Aleister and Ricochet the match. So the Revival win by disqualification and keep the titles. And then it was announced right before SmackDown. I was actually on the road going to SmackDown Live, and I found out that they added a triple threat match at Fastlane for the Raw Tag Team Championship. So on Sunday at Fastlane, these three teams, the Revival, Aleister Black and Ricochet, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, will face off in a triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team titles at Fastlane this Sunday. And then also they announced something else, I think, during Fastlane. Yeah, Rey Mysterio on Andrade. They announced that right before the main event, I believe, on SmackDown. So we were obviously, everybody watching and everybody in the crowd were the first ones to know about that. But up next, well, hold on. Because I have in here, because I was doing my notes. And this goes back to the Raw Tag Team titles. I was going to skip over it, and then I saw it, and I'm like, screw it, I'll say it. So I have in my notes here, and like I say, I do my notes watching it live or on the DVR a little bit later on before I record, obviously, so I know what I'm going to say. Not word for word, but I was thinking, I have written down here, maybe a match on the kickoff show for the Raw Tag Team titles, but then they announced it before SmackDown, and right now it's still going to be on the main card, so we'll have to see if they move that up or not, but go check out my predictions. So up next, though, in the main event of Monday Night Raw this past week, the Hold Harmless agreement signing with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. I guess March is Women's History Month as well, so they show a video package on WWE celebrating women. And then Stephanie comes out holding the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte comes out, Becky Lynch comes out as well. It's official now after both the superstars signed the agreement. It's official. Becky Lynch versus Charlotte at Fastlane on Sunday. But then Ronda Rousey makes an appearance. She comes out and she wants her title back. Stephanie goes on by saying, well, you gave it up. You don't deserve it back. Stephanie ended up giving it back to her because earlier in the night it was supposed to be Becky and Charlotte on Sunday for the vacant Raw the vacant Raw Women's Championship. But now Ronda has it back, so they make it official, though still, if Becky loses, she's done. They might put her on SmackDown then if she does lose and have her face Asuka, but we still all know it's going to be a triple threat at WrestleMania one way or another. I don't care how you get to it, it's still going to be more than likely the main event as well, but a triple threat between Rousey, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch at WrestleMania for the Raw Women's Championship. But then if Becky wins on Sunday versus Charlotte at Fastlane, she'll be added to the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. So more than likely, Becky's going to win on Sunday. Maybe Ronda comes out and helps her one way or another to get her inserted into the match, obviously, then, because she would win. Who the hell knows? We'll have to find out and see. But then Ronda, she turned heel, and she attacked both Charlotte and Becky. So moving forward, I don't know what they have planned, really, but one way or another, we're going to get a triple threat at WrestleMania between the three of them. And the attack was more so on Becky, as it went on to end Monday Night Raw, and then Charlotte, just stood there and watched the entire thing. So that was Monday Night Raw this past week. SmackDown Live, on the other hand, as I said, they were in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and I was actually there, and I have videos from the event, so go check them out. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button on those videos. Like, follow, and subscribe on social media. They had a rest in peace in loving memory of King Kong Bundy after he passed away on Sunday at the age of 61. And then the new Daniel Bryan, the current WWE champion, the Planet's champion, kicked off SmackDown Live this week. We have a WWE Championship match this Sunday at Fastlane. Daniel Bryan will be defending versus Kevin Owens. Boos from the crowd, and then they had a video package, and Daniel Bryan's a heel, so boos from the Wilkes-Barre crowd. I was cheering him during this. He's one of the best, and like I said, in my opinion, he's putting out his best work both in and out of the ring right now. So a video package recap to kick off SmackDown from last week on SmackDown during the contract signing that they had for the WWE Championship match when it was supposed to be Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston, but then the boss, Vince McMahon, came out and replaced Kofi with Kevin Owens, the returning KO. And this will be KO Mania 4 or 5, I believe, like I said last week. And then also during this video package recap, also the tag team main event match that was Daniel Bryan and Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus it was Rowan. Why didn't I know that? It was Daniel Bryan and Rowan versus Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston. So then Daniel Bryan goes on by saying that he stayed silent last week when everyone gushed about Kofi Kingston and when Vince also inserted Kevin Owens in the match. But now it's time to speak in your turn, the fans, and he got a lot of heat on this as well, for us to remain silent. So, like I said, both in and out of the ring, most importantly though, in the ring with his skill work as a wrestler, and then also promo-wise on the mic. So then Redwood, according to Kevin Owens, Eric Rowan, he tells everybody to shut up. Lots of boos, and then Kofi chants as well during this opening segment on SmackDown during this promo. Daniel Bryan's not here to talk about Kofi Kingston, though, because he is not a leader. He is a supporting player. The New Day, they weren't actually there. They were over in India on a promotional tour. So, funny how Vince switched his opponent. This is Daniel Bryan saying this. Funny how Vince switched his opponent with someone who gives out a lot of pancakes, being Kofi Kingston, with someone who eats a lot of pancakes in Kevin Owens. So Kevin Owens is just like us. He looks like us. He thinks like us. and he does not deserve a WWE title shot as well. Kevin Owens is a nobody, but that's what makes him so dangerous, because nobody is a somebody with nothing to lose. Daniel Bryan goes on by saying as well, I have everything to lose because I am the planet's champion. Then that's when Kevin Owens comes out. He goes back to saying, went back to being a member of the WWE Universe while he was on the shelf injured. He said he watched every Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live from his couch. Daniel Bryan fires back with exactly where you belong. Daniel Bryan was awesome during this, even though he said only a couple words after Kevin Owens came out. Very hard to see people do what he loves to do, except for when you are out here, speaking to Daniel Bryan. He says, you have been awful. Owens also says, one thing that he cannot stand is people who think that they're better than everyone else. Preach on that, Kevin Owens. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I agree with you on that. I also, and I think a lot of people can agree with me on this as well, cannot stand people who think that they are better than everyone else. So Kevin Owens also goes on by saying, it got worse when you threw the WWE title in the trash, and then Daniel Bryan says exactly where it belongs. So a shot towards Chris Jericho, I thought, at that, as he is now in All Elite Wrestling AEW. So then the last straw then was that, and then Kevin Owens knew he wanted Daniel Bryan when he returned from injury. So I think the WWE Universe can agree with me. Daniel Bryan deserves to be shut up, and Kevin Owens is going to be the one to do it. Kevin Owens is great as well. This opening promo, video package, everything on SmackDown this week to kick off the Blue Brand was awesome, I thought. It set the tone for the entire show. Had a main event then with Kevin Owens and Rowan, well, co-main event, because then Becky and Charlotte, they had a face-to-face in the main event. So Kevin Owens also goes on by saying as well, yep, I am just like these people. KO doesn't have a reality TV show or a 7-foot bodyguard, just like Daniel Bryan with Total Divas, Total Bellas, Eric Rowan as his bodyguard. And then Bryan says this to Owens then, you don't need a bodyguard because you don't have any friends left. You're right, it's true. Yeah, I used to have friends, but not anymore. But I didn't need friends last week when I hit you with a stunner and pinned you 1, 2, 3 in the center of this ring. And the bottom line, wink, wink, that was the best part, in my opinion, of this entire promo, is that I never meant to take Kofi's spot, but I sure as hell will beat you on Sunday at Fastlane and take the WWE title from you. KO then attacks Rowan and Daniel Bryan, but they're too much for him. Rowan ended up palm slamming Kevin Owens. They advertise R-Truth's United States Open Challenge. And then we cut to Shane McMahon and The Miz backstage. Miz has a singles match versus Jey Uso up next. And then Fastlane this Sunday. They advertise for that, as this is the go-home show for SmackDown before Fastlane on Sunday. The Usos come out, video of that, right here on the channel, so go check it out. At Elimination Chamber, they go on by saying, at Elimination Chamber, we became the SmackDown Tag Team Champions once again. They are now 6-time SmackDown Live Tag Champs. Now at Fastlane, we face Shane and The Miz. Co-besties, the best tag team in the world. The Usos then impersonate Miz. I thought this was awesome as well. And then they also impersonate Shane. I'm going to jump off of this. I'm going to jump off of that. Shot towards the WrestleMania sign in the arena as well. And then the Usos go on by saying, both Jimmy and Jay, when one of us goes right, the other's going to go left. When one goes high, the other's going to go low. And when one of us hits hard, the other's going to hit harder. Welcome to the Uso Penitentiary. And then here comes the money. Here comes Shane. Shane comes out along with The Miz. And then they go over basically everything the Usos just said about them. And then Shane goes on by saying, well, that's what makes us the best tag team in the world. But come Sunday, we're going to see who's laughing last. They have the match, Miz and Jey Uso. Miz defeated Jey, so Miz stood tall. I think come Sunday, the Usos are going to retain. Got the Hardy Boys coming back now. They were on SmackDown last week. They were on SmackDown just a couple days ago as well. I think the Usos are going to face the Hardys at WrestleMania for the SmackDown Live tag titles. And then either Miz or Shane is going to turn on one another at Fastlane on Sunday in Cleveland. Maybe his dad will help him. Maybe his dad will be on Shane's side and they'll turn on the Miz. We'll have to find out and see, but I think we'll be getting Miz and Shane at WrestleMania. Charlotte then gets interviewed backstage, and then R-Truth has his United States Open challenge. He goes on by saying he didn't realize, that John Cena did this every single week, so he's still looking up to his idol, even though R-Truth, Ron Killings, is older than John Cena. It's funny, it's comedy, I get it. But R-Truth, he says he didn't realize, he has to do it every week as well. But then Carmella says, well, just like Cena, you will never give up. But then R-Truth goes on by saying, too, well, another thing that he likes that John Cena says is, you can't see me. And then R-Truth goes on by saying, well, I see him on my poster in my room, my bed sheets, and then I see him in some movies as well. So Lacey Evans comes out during this, okay? And then she walks away. She does her thing. Like I said earlier, she answered this, and then she left. And then R-Truth, he wanted to fight her. Like, he was like, bring it, But then she left, and he says, well, she didn't want none. She could probably handle you, to be honest with you, if you know what I'm talking about. We'll have to see about that. Maybe, that'll get leaked sometime soon. I don't know. That they're the next two WWE superstars that are with each other. Who the hell knows? But no, I don't think she'd be like that. I believe she's married. If she's not, hit me up, GoHandLuke96 on Twitter, Lacey Evans. I believe she has some kids as well. I don't really know. But R-Truth's United States Open Challenge, Samoa Joe then came out, and then Rey Mysterio, and then Andrade. And this match, a fatal four-way for the United States Championship. Best match, in my opinion, on WWE television in quite some time. You can have this up there with the Gauntlet match from a couple weeks ago as well. So everybody basically did everything that they normally do. Samoa Joe ended up winning. I was shocked. I have video, like I said, of him winning it from me being in there at the event live in person. So go check that out. It's titled Samoa Joe Wins WWE United States Championship. So Samoa Joe won, and then he ended up cutting a damn good interview in a little bit coming up, and I'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, Samoa Joe, I was shocked, but it's about damn time, like I said earlier, that he finally has championship gold up on the main roster in the WWE. So then they cut to Becky Lynch backstage. She's just walking around. And then Kevin Owens versus Rowan, as I said a little bit ago, is advertised for later on, and that ended up being the co-main event. Then a New Day video promo from India. As I said, they were still over in India. They weren't at SmackDown this past week. And then Aleister Black comes out. They go to commercial break then come back from that. That's when they had the Samoa Joe interview. He just he throws a couple shots at John Cena a little bit and R-Truth. But long story short with this, it looks like we're going to be getting Samoa Joe and John Cena at WrestleMania for the WWE United States Championship, and I would love that. I think we were supposed to get that a couple years ago, last year, the year before, but they scrapped it, and then they put it on the back burner up until now. So I would like that, and then also if they give Cena to somebody else, Kevin Owens, I don't think is going to be doing anything after Sunday because I think he's going to lose to Daniel Bryan because I think Kofi Kingston's going to cost him a match with him getting inserted, taking his spot and whatnot. Just makes sense. I think if they do something else with Cena, which it looks like they're not going to be, it looks like it's going to be Cena and Joe, which I love that. That'll be a damn good match. But I think what would be better, since they won't be doing anything with Kevin Owens as of now, I believe, because after Sunday, I don't think he's going to be doing anything. you put Kevin Owens versus Samoa Joe for the United States Championship at WrestleMania, because Kevin Owens has already had the Face of America, or whatever the hell it was called, when he was United States Champion before. And then they brought back Jericho. Styles was involved in that as well. Styles, Orton, that's what it's looking like at WrestleMania. They actually wrestled the dark match, as I said. I have a full video of that, so go check it out. But yeah, Samoa Joe interview, and then Ricochet came out. The Bar came out. I have a video of that. It was actually published, and then it got taken down. So I'm sorry about that. But I actually put it out on Facebook and Twitter, on Gridiron Ring's Facebook and Twitter page. So like and follow to Gridiron 18 on both Facebook and Twitter, and you can go check out that video as well. So a tag team match with Aleister Black and Ricochet versus The Bar, that is up next. Aleister and Ricochet ended up winning after a black mass from the so-called now Dark Destroyer, according to Tom Phillips on commentary. I don't know if they're going to be calling him the Dark Destroyer moving forward, or they're going to stick with the Dutch Destroyer, but Dark Destroyer really doesn't sound that bad to me, to be honest with you, but we'll have to see what they do moving forward. And then Ricochet hit a 630 splash on Cesaro and pinned him clean 1, 2, 3. And I wish I would have had that. I didn't think they were going home that quick, or else I would have got a video of that too. But then Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura actually ran right in front of us and jumped the barricade and attacked both Aleister and Ricochet before the Hardy Boys, both Matt and Jeff, made the save. So Aleister and Ricochet and the Hardy Boys stood tall after the Hardy Boys took out Shinsuke and Rusev and the Bar, who were still ringside. So I did get a video, though, of Shinsuke and Rusev running up. By the time I saw them, they were just about to jump the barricade. So you'll see that in the video, so go check it out. So they, like I said, did what they just did there. And then up next, Mandy Rose, and then we go to commercial break. Tori Wilson, Hall of Fame. Mandy Rose versus Naomi is next. Basically a squash match. Mandy ended up winning, but then both Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, they were walking back up the ramp. They were walking backwards, to be honest with you, too. And then Asuka appeared, and she attacked both of them by the entranceway. On Sunday, Mandy Rose will face Asuka for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. So Asuka basically stood tall. And like I said earlier, she was supposed to have a match, but they scrapped that because Mandy injured Asuka at a house show on Monday. But it looks like she's fine and good to go, so that title match is still on for Sunday at Fastlane. Up next, Kevin Owens versus Rowan, and then Charlotte and Becky Lynch face-to-face as well in the main event. And then we had a AJ Styles interview backstage for the second consecutive week. Remember, they did this with Seth Rollins a couple weeks ago, 2 consecutive weeks on Monday Night Raw as well. But Randy Orton, he interrupted once again. So, like I said, it looks like AJ Styles and Randy Orton will face off at WrestleMania, and they got some practice in that dark match on Tuesday night, following both SmackDown and 205 Live, and I have the full video, so go check it out. Be sure to hit the little thumbs up button and share it with your friends and family on social media. So KO and Rowan, that match is next. Like I said, Kevin Owens ended up attacking Daniel Bryan very quick into the match. Daniel Bryan was on commentary for this match, and then Rowan and Daniel Bryan ended up getting a little ahead of him. They took advantage, but then everybody was chanting for Sami Zayn, Sami, and then Mustafa Ali ended up coming out. So Mustafa Ali returned from his injury, and then he ended up helping out Kevin Owens against Daniel Bryan and Rowan. And then Kevin Owens ended up hitting Daniel Bryan with another stunner. Match basically ended in no contest. There wasn't a clear winner, but Kevin Owens stood tall. So, like I said, normally when that happens, you lose at the pay-per-view. So, I still think Daniel Bryan's going to win. But, I mean, if they have Owens win and then Bryan get it back very shortly after and maybe make a triple threat at Mania, I wouldn't mind that either. But I think Daniel Bryan's going to win on Sunday, and Owens will get inserted into another storyline in the next couple weeks. So then up next, the main event, Charlotte-Becky face-off, and this was just to basically hype their match on Sunday before they both attacked each other. to close SmackDown Live this past week. So from being there live in attendance, I thought SmackDown was good, and then I ended up watching it back as well on TV on the DVR. So I thought it was a good SmackDown. I thought both Raw and SmackDown were all right this past week. They weren't anything special, but that's go-home shows for you. So yeah, Fastlane on Sunday from Cleveland. It'll be on the network. If you don't have the network, go subscribe. Subscribe to Gridiron Ring right here on YouTube as well. I will be live on Sunday doing live reactions, play of WWE Fastlane, and then I will be at Raw in Pittsburgh on Monday as well. So, like I said, I hope to have some more videos from that event, and then go check out my WWE Fastlane predictions as well. Like, follow, and subscribe on social media. As always, the links are in the description below.